Going? Hey! What's going on, guys?
How's everybody?
Hello. Good morning. Josh Street in the comments there. Zaku must be waiting on Zaku to finish his dinner. Is that always, Josh, is that always you that's always saying that? Or it's someone different every time? I don't know, but it's always someone's saying something like that, or
That's funny. No,
dinner or breakfast, whatever.
This time it was my fault.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and then we were just kind of chatting a little bit before we could have started like 5-6 minutes ago, but good morning, everybody, or evening, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Morning, Adam.
Morning. Good afternoon.
It's a busy day there, as you were just telling me.
Yeah, just got I think it was 28, 29 pallets just arrived. A whole bunch of perfect grade unleashes, so we'll be getting those out. We don't have all of them. We got 200 and something in, or 400 and something in today. There's another 400 plus that hopefully will be here next week, and that should fill all of our pre-orders. So you should be getting an email shortly. If you don't get an email today, you should get one hopefully in the next week or 2 weeks, depending on when they arrive. They're on their way, but there's so many delays across the U.S. with not having truck drivers to drive stuff. And it's funny because obviously you follow your competitors, and I'm seeing them all complain too about truck, deliveries getting delayed and stuff from their shipments. So it's not just us. So. Yep.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this once before that we needed to do like, what was that movie with Tom Cruise, wasn't it? Where it was the helicopter pilot, airplane pilot, flying the drugs like from Central America. What's the name of that movie? Real American or something?
I think it was Real American, because I remember him like bringing like Harleys to the drug dealers and stuff, and
something like that.
Yeah, like it was.
Or they're doing like the low flyby and just tossing all this stuff out. That's what they need to do with these kits, man. That's the only way to get them. Only way to get them to you.
It is.
The truck's just not working out. So you need to just hire a couple of planes and just airdrop them in. Just waiting out in the parking lot with like a big nets to catch them.
Catching it.
I'm sure people won't mind. A couple of dented boxes, not a big deal. A couple of questions real quick in the chat. People are asking about, I saw one is on the Nuke Matrix Fox.
Yep. So they have arrived in California. They've cleared customs. Don't know when they're getting delivered. So once it goes through that process, then it goes to a trucking company, and whenever that trucking company decides to go get it, we're kind of waiting on that. So it's interesting because like the stuff from China is hard to track because there's no real good system to track it. It kind of just shows up with after a month to 2 months of it shipping out. They give us like a container number, and you can go to a site that you can track the container, but then kind of after it goes into port, then it either goes to FedEx, UPS, or a multitude of other companies to get it to us. And once it kind of leaves that port and goes to them, we really don't have a solid way to track it. I mean, we could find a way to track it, but so it should be here soon.
And the Metal Build Justice. What's the other one someone asked about?
For some reason, give me a second here. I want to say Bluefin shipped those. Actually, did we even? That's a P-Bandai thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't follow the metal build stuff as closely. So.
Yeah, I think that was a P-Bandai that is on the P-Bandai site now. Maybe that's why it's coming to my mind. Because we don't have the metal build. I believe it's a P-Bandai thing. I'm sure the chat will let me know, but I'm 99% sure I saw that. That's why it might be coming to my mind, and I'm like, oh, I thought I just saw something on that, but we don't have anything for that. So,
Patrick said the Metal Build Justice was just announced.
Okay. That's why it was. I remember seeing something on it, but I was like, man, maybe it got shipped out to us. But yeah, then I'm like, wait a minute, maybe not.
So it's certainly not shipped yet.
No.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get to some questions here, but first, today we've got a giveaway item. It's not a beverage, but in fact,
nope.
is a kit. There you go.
This big boy. Yeah.
Yes.
Very
big.
The full new Verka and the heavy weapon system that comes with that.
In the far superior off-white cream color scheme.
Yes.
Yeah,
because that's different from this one and the original one, right?
Yeah. Well, let me think. Actually, the new Gundam itself, I don't know if it has
the armor parts that cream color.
Yeah, the armor on the Gundam does it have any of that cream color, or it's just the heavy weapon system parts?
I think it's just the heavy weapon system. Yeah,
I think so.
Whereas if you, I know one of them, maybe it was the real grade that they changed the color of the new, or am I thinking wrong completely?
As far as I know, I don't think they changed any colors on like the actual the new Gundam's armor. I think it was only on the heavy weapon system parts. Where if you bought just the heavy weapon system parts set on its own without the Gundam, then they would be in the same white color. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I actually have that kit, but I have not built it yet, so I couldn't say.
No.
But otherwise, I've got something to show too for you guys.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Here is, and his big dong's knocking my microphone there. Sorry about that.
Nice.
Yes, this guy I just built up this afternoon, so a review will be coming for that in the very near future. Later this weekend, hopefully. If not, then on Monday. And then the Eclipse Gundam, the Masquerade Eclipse, I'll be working on that, and I'll be doing a live build of that one. I didn't live build this one because it's just there's a lot of huge parts. It's kind of difficult to manage like on camera, something that big. But the Eclipse Gundam, I will be doing a live stream build likely on like a Tuesday next week. I think Tuesday morning, which would be like Monday evening your guys' time there in the US. So anyway, it's very cool. I'm looking forward to playing around with that. Just finished putting it together. So Mike also asked, any word about the next contest? Not right. Not yet. Yeah, not yet, Mike.
Unfortunately.
Hopefully by the next episode, we'll be able to let you guys know. If not, sometime in between. But yeah, as soon as we can, we'll get that kicked off. But all right. Mike and Kelly asked, quick opinion, hand grenade or no? No, I mean, if you're asking about this, it's definitely not a hand grenade. I mean, here you go. It's a big, massive kit, and I'm able to shake it around like that, and it's fine. So that's totally good. All right, let's get to some questions here. Well, here's actually a question from the same person from Kelly here on our Facebook page. What determines when Bandai decides to reprint certain kits, and what do you wish would get reprinted again? I missed out on the HG Gym Thunderbolt. I wish Bandai would do reprint. I think we just had the same question in the last episode.
Yeah, I think this question kind of comes up a lot, and it's a good question. So what Bandai does is they used to do it every 3 months in advance. Now they do it 3 to 6 months in advance. They'll send every retailer, a distributor, a reprint list on what they are looking to reprint. That list goes worldwide. Everyone tells Bandai, sends in their orders, what they would like to get reprinted and how much of it. Bandai goes through that list and decides what gets cut, what gets reprinted, and then how much of it can fit into production capacity. So if you only have enough production capacity for 1,000 kits and 2,000 are ordered, well, only 1,000 of that kit are made, and then they're allocated to the stores based on their orders. So if I ordered 100, I might only get 60. And that's just because Bandai, the demand is so great now that they just can't keep up with it. So that's how they're doing it now. Unfortunately, so unpopular kits that don't get a lot of orders for just get cut completely. So you'll probably start seeing now when stores get restocks, you'll see that there are a lot fewer diversity of those kits, And then the kits they do produce, you're getting less of those. And that's all just due to the demand and the capacity. But that's kind of how they decide. I don't know how they decide what goes on the reprint list that they send out, but I do know that's how they decide what on that list gets reprinted. As far as kits that I would like to get remade, the Full Armor RX-78, the green one, any kit that hasn't been made in a while, Masquerade O, and maybe it's just because I get emails all the time about those kits that I just want them remade. So, a lot of older kits, was it the Hyper Function or Hyper Mode, God Gundam and Master Gundam. Tons of people. I think they're going for like 200 or 300 now on eBay, which is just insane. Things like that. A lot of like the older kits they haven't produced in a while. And then your typical kits that they produce all the time. Maybe not as regularly. Master Grade GM Sniper 2, which just got a reprint. We should be getting some more of those in. Your Sotheby's, stuff like that, stuff that everyone wants.
Indeed. All right. I would agree anyway with that. Nate asked, what happens to all my money I had 2 months ago before getting into Gunpla?
It all turns into plastic. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
So long as your priorities are taken care of, if not Gunpla, then it would have turned into, I don't know, whatever else.
Yeah,
video games. Beer, I don't know.
Well, I know like a lot here in the U.S. anyways. It's weird because I have a window here and I just see a pallet of Sotheby Verkaz going up on a shelf. I can't say. All I do is see the boxes floating by me. People obviously, last year didn't really go on vacation, so they had all that money extra and things like that. And I'm sure that's kind of around the world. It was like that. Just be responsible. Always be responsible. Pay your bills. Yeah.
It's hard to build in the dark if your electricity gets shut off.
Yeah.
You could build outside though, I guess.
Yeah. Gotta eat.
Rebecca asked, any tips on avoiding oversanding parts and also fixing really bad placed seam lines on HGs?
Yeah. Know, I guess, the part you're sanding and grits that you're using. And that probably goes with seam lines too that might be in kind of crappy places. If it might take you a little longer to get that off, than rushing, because if you rush, you might use a tougher grit and then you're digging into the part. Files are notorious for probably chewing away plastic, so just kind of pay attention to what you're doing. If you take your time, you shouldn't make those mistakes. If you do make those mistakes, there is putty, which then you're taking more time. So if you would have took your time, you would have to work about the putty. But I don't know if you have anything else to say about that.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. Patience. Just gotta be patient. And files are, for just like regular building and even removing seam lines, files are pretty unnecessary. I do use files sometimes for removing seam lines, but just because like I'm pretty comfortable doing it. But if you're worried about oversanding, then maybe avoid using a file, because it is easy to do that if you don't like have good control. And what I'll do, like when I'm using a file or even when I'm using just a sanding stick, I won't like go for like a long time. I'll do like 2, 3, 4 and then check it, and like a little bit and then check it, and a little bit and then check it. So you just have to kind of make sure you're keeping an eye on that, not to oversand. And then like if you do end up oversanding a little bit, then it's just like step up to like a higher grit, just kind of sand it down a little bit more again. So seam lines, like the most difficult seam lines are when they run through like recessed details. Because then the seam is like down inside the detail. That's kind of really difficult to get to, stuff like that sometimes. And then you can consider different options. So like if it's through like if you consider like a rectangle recessed detail, it might be easier to just cut that out entirely and then just replace it with like a piece of plot plate for like from up from underneath or something. So I mean, just think about like creatively how to get around some of those options. Sometimes I see like what people are doing is using like a super tiny little piece of sandpaper like stuck on the end of a toothpick or something. You see like the crazy Japanese modelers on Twitter doing that. I would never have the patience to sand something with a tiny piece of sandpaper attached on the end of a toothpick.
Yeah, that takes time.
That's too much. That's way too much for me.
Seen the hobby blades that bend now? I saw them the other day.
No.
There's a company that like literally, it's like an X-Acto blade, but it literally bends, and you can use it to. They had like a picture of someone cutting a seam line. I mean, hobby blades are probably not like your best idea to use for seam removal, but it's interesting because they had it. The hobby blade actually bent into places for them to.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It would be interesting, yeah. Alex asked, do you think the 1/72 Star Wars kits will ever get reprinted?
Yeah. So different ones get printed at different times. With the palettes we got there's a few Star Wars kits on there. I think there's 2 or 3 versions of the X-Wing. There's the TIE Striker, Darth Vader's, the Advanced TIE Fighter. And there are, the figure Star Wars kits. I think Yoda, Darth Vader, Stormtroopers on there, Clone Troopers on there. But yeah, I mean, they don't get reproduced that often. Again, probably because they go on that list, and not a lot of people order Star Wars kits. Yeah, they get printed pretty. I mean, at least every shipment we get at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the line being not like a big priority, I mean, as it was like a couple of years ago,
right?
It's just basically a few reprints here and there. You're not going to see them coming out like near the volume that they were a couple of years ago, of course.
Yeah.
They're still coming out with new ones. Like they just had like a couple new kits come out pretty recently from Mandalorian, right?
So yeah, they had the little tiny. I can't think of the name of his ship.
Vehicle models.
Yeah. I keep want to say Slave One, but that's not him. And I watched.
Yeah, I forget the name of it.
I can't think of the name. Razor Crest. So the Razor Crest is they made 2 versions of that and the Mandalorian. So I'm hoping they make a bigger. The 172 of the Razor Crest would be awesome. I don't see that coming anytime soon, but that would be great if they did.
Yeah. Here's a question from Mike. He said, what Gundam series mobile suit that has never been made into a model would you like to see as either MG, HG, RG, whatever?
That hasn't been made into a model?
Yeah, that has no kit at all.
Oh, man.
I would like to see the Solomon Express Gundam.
Yeah, that would be.
That's so unlikely. Like I know he's just asking, like, not seriously, but even still.
Yeah, and I mean it's hard because I mean there are, but I keep going to like F91 kits, and they're those old ones that were kits. But I would like a remake of something that's better than the crappy like Unicolor, 1-color kit that just sits there.
Something like the Ares from Wing. There's the B Club kit, which if you want to consider that, but there's no like plastic model kit of that.
Right.
So, there's JH Mallet there in the chat. Just the same thing. Yeah, Ares.
Yeah, Ares would be good. Tequila Gundam would be good. Honestly, a lot of the G Gundams, even though I don't like G Gundam that much, a lot of people do, and they are pretty funny designs that would probably look cool as a kit, like the Tequila Gundam.
Yeah, there's some cool ones.
It'd be neat to get them from every country. That would be kind of cool.
I do have to agree with Chris there in the chat as well. The Game Malk, that is a super cool design that I would love to have a kit of. I think there is a kit of that, but it's like a older one, and it's like because it's a pretty large mobile suit. I think the kit is in like 1/220 scale or something like that. It's like an old, pretty bad 80 scale. I think so. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that exists.
There's a lot of old no scale kits or old 1/100 kits that I don't have a grade, like non-graded kits. There's a lot of those out there that I don't even know they exist, and all of a sudden they appear on a reprint list, and you're like, what in the world is that?
Yeah, right.
and then they don't get remade. But yeah, they were
especially
there.
like from like Zeta and Double Zeta. They made a lot actually at the time. They made quite a lot of kits from Zeta and Double Zeta of like the more obscure mobile suits.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Alex said, I'm planning on doing my first conversion kit at some point. Besides general safety, what's the number one thing I should worry about with working on them? So I'm assuming he means like a resin kit.
I mean, wear a mask and wet your sandpaper. I think most hobby sandpapers are now wet dry. So wet your sandpaper for sure. You don't want to breathe in any of that resin. So
just the dust.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be like the number one thing to look out for. And wash your parts. A lot of people don't realize you need to wash your parts. Put them in. What I'll do with resin is I'll just put them in a bucket, fill it up with half water and half 409, and let them sit there overnight. And then get a soft toothbrush and rinse them off and scrub them to get all the cleaner off of them. But that gets rid of that mold release. Because if you leave that on there, your paint will crack over time, and it just messes a lot of things in your finished product over time. So take your time. I mean, I think that's kind of always said, but resin kits are fun. They're cool. They can be tricky at times, and there's different things. Like if you have bent pieces, you can always, put them in some boiling water and for a second or two and take them out and re-straighten them out.
Yes, you can attempt to.
Yeah, there are.
Doesn't always work out easily, but yeah.
Yeah, there's different tricks and things because I don't think you ever get a perfect mold like kit out of resin. There's always things you're gonna have to fix.
Jace asked, so it's kind of complicated question here, but seems one interesting one anyway. Said, so what happens when you have a pre-order that has an item go out of stock since it's attached to another item that was supposed to come out around the same time originally?
So if you have an order with a pre-order item, an item that's in stock, the in-stock item is reserved for you. So we literally have hundreds of kits that are sitting here that are with pre-orders. They're just sitting here. They're not available for anyone to buy, but they're sitting on the shelf reserved for you. So when that kit comes in, then we'll ship out your entire order. You can actually split your order too. If you just send an email to support@usagumstore.com, ask to split it and get the stuff that's in stock shipped out before the pre-order comes in. Let's say the pre-order is delayed or something like that. You are more than welcome to do that too. But your in-stock kit, is held here. Even if it goes out of stock, that just means we have no more available. You still have yours here. So.
And then just going back to the kits we want, Wispy had a good one there, and that I always forget about, and who mentioned the Syscade, which we did actually get an SD Syscade, which was kind of blew my mind. I never expected that to happen, but I wish we had like just like a normal version of that, not the SD version, because it is a really cool design.
It was weird they came out with that, and then it was cool, but then it made me think that maybe they had something planned for like a high grade or something, and maybe just kind of got put on the back burner.
Would have been a really good one for the RE100 line, to be honest. But we'll have to see. Okay, here's Brad with a question here. What advice would you give a builder to Gunpla wanting to dive in all out? So I mean, I think he means like who wants to just like get right into like everything, kit bashing and painting and doing all this sort of stuff just like straight away.
Have a lot of money. I guess as if you want to get everything and go all out, like a nice airbrush, the top of line tools, things like that. But I mean, someone that wants to get all into it, I guess as much as you can from the start. I mean, tools matter, so get some nice tools, get some nice pair of nippers, nice sanding sticks, because if you want to do all the different things with your model kits, like airbrush them, detail them, scrub your own panel lines, you're going to need the tools to make them look good. So I would invest in tools, which will help you do all that other stuff you want to do. I think would be my advice for that.
And aside from like tools, if you mean, I mean, and the question's a little bit vague, so I'm having to assume a bit here, but if you want to go like all out I discussed this not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago. I did my video on my channel about like top 5 like noob mistakes or something like that. And what I talked about in that video was just like not biting off more than you can chew as a beginner. So like don't go into it like thinking that on like your first build you're gonna make this like awesome kit bash. It's possible, but I just would advise you to take your time and kind of go step by step, getting the basics down first, because if you don't have the basics down and you're trying like to make this really cool idea, I mean, it's just going to have mistakes. You're just going to make mistakes, and I just don't want to see anyone like be discouraged having this really cool idea and they try to make it and it just ends up not working out and they get discouraged and just whatever. Anyway, this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
So take your time, learn the basics, at least for a few kits, practice, watch a lot of tutorials and stuff. And I mean, there's loads of information out there. So, I mean, you can progress really quickly if you want to. But just, make sure you know what you're doing. Yep. Marcus has an interesting question here, which I don't think we have had before very often. He said, I want to paint my MG Faz kit. How, and I think it is kind of a typo here. I think he means how much paint would I need for my airbrush? So how much paint would be required to paint like a pretty big master grade kit like that?
That's a good question because it depends on a lot of things.
Yes, it does.
What parts are you painting? What colors? Even certain colors you might need more paint on. For some reason,
assume he's doing out of box colors.
So out of box colors, and you prime it gray. We'll assume that. Because if you prime it white and it's the Faz, I mean, white parts you get away with probably 1 coat, honestly, because then but if it's gray, you might have to do 1 or 2 coats, possibly a third. Your reds, for some reason, for me, red is I'm always doing more coats than less coats. I don't know why.
On top of gray primer?
Yeah.
That's why. Got to use the white or pink primer.
I mean, that goes into it too. I mean, different primers are going to cause you to have more paint. But I mean, generally, for the main color, so let's say it's a white Gundam, I would get 3 like little jars. So depending on the paint, like I'm going off of GSI size jars.
Yeah,
I would get 3 whites. If it's like a main suit, if it's a red suit, like a Sotheby or something, I would get 3 or 4 of those. I'd rather have too much than not have enough, because then you can hold that paint for other kits. But this way, I know I'm going to have enough for that. If it's like yellow for accent colors, I mean, 1 jar will be fine. All right, if you're painting the inner frame, 2 jars or 1 jar is probably, I mean, maybe 2 or 3 jars for the inner frame, depending on the color you're painting it. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of me. I don't know if there's really a. Well,
as far as primer goes, I would really recommend having some white primer, because basically like gray is the most common, but then there's white, black, and pink are kind of like the most common colors. Yep. Black is not really, I think, ever really going to be that necessary unless you want something to be like super, super dark, which is just kind of unnecessary. Because if you're spraying like a dark color paint on top of gray primer, it's going to be dark enough, plenty dark enough. You just don't really need black primer really all that often. There's mahogany primer as well, which can be good, but honestly, I think white and gray would be the most recommended, because for painting like red colors, yellow colors, orange, any like bright colors like that, spraying on top of white primer is going to give you much brighter colors. Like Adam's saying, spraying like a bright color like that on top of gray primer, it's always more difficult to do, and the color is not going to look as vibrant. So if you want like nice, bright, vibrant colors, get some white primer as well. So for like the Faz, there's a ton of white and a ton of gray on that. So I would say like for the white, I mean, I don't know. You might be able to, for like a big kit like that, you might be able to squeak by with 1 bottle of white, but probably 2 just to be safe. And then like 2 gray. And I mean, then you're going to need like a couple different colors of gray. Also, what you could get, if you can find it, is Nazca primer. Nazca primer is like pretty much any primer you can just use as a paint, but Nazca primer is like specifically made to be like a paint and primer kind of all in one. So it's meant to be that you can just use it as your primer and then as your main paint color as well. So it comes in a couple different shades of gray, and it's really, really nice. So if you can get that, that is a really good option. And I use that a lot for inner frames usually, because it's a really nice gray color for inner frames, and then you don't have to worry about priming and painting. You just knock it all out in one step.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would need a few bottles for a big master grade like that of a few different colors. But I mean, like nothing that crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
For HGs, you really don't need all that much at all.
No.
Like one bottle per color, it should be enough for like any HG, unless it's like something like this. Then you would need a few bottles of red, but any HG, normally one bottle would be enough. Yes. Interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't really see. I've gotten it from time to time, but not very often.
It's not a. I mean, it's a easy question, but not an easy question. If that's.
And the thing is, and this is why I've never really elaborated on this, but this is why I always say that using spray cans is much more expensive over time compared, because like for like again for spraying an HG kit, if you need like 4 colors for like the Mr. Color bottles of lacquer paint, they're what, $3, $4, something like that.
Yeah, $2.90 something, I think.
Yeah,
I might be wrong.
Versus spray cans are probably close to like $5 each, something.
Yeah,
6, 7, even.
Yeah, depending where you go.
Double the price, and then the spray can's not going to last near as long. You're going to run out of paint with a spray can much faster because it's just spraying a lot of paint. Whereas that's the nice thing about using airbrush. It's much more direct, focused. You can get like 90% of the paint that's sprayed is actually going on the part. Yeah. Whereas with a spray can, it's like 60% of the paint is going on the part, and the other 40% is just gone. Yep. So that is one of the nice things about using airbrush versus spray cans. So yeah, definitely your paint is going to be cheaper and last longer for airbrushing. So definitely. Okay. Let's switch over here to Instagram, or we're just not going to have enough time for these. All right. Favorite, I think this is one we've done before too, but favorite heavy weapon system or full armor. So like any full armor Gundam or heavy weapon system Gundam or anything like that.
Yeah. So full armor Thunderbolt comes to mind, but I guess with full armor, I do like the full armor RX-78 though. Yeah. A lot. Heavy weapon system. I
think he just kind of was grouping them all together as Gundam with like extra.
There was a picture that I saw that had, and I don't know if it's canon or if it was just fan art. It was like a heavy weapon system Zeta. It wasn't the Faz, but it was literally the. Yeah. So I don't know if that was.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if it's canon or not.
But it looked really cool. It looked really, really nice. Yeah.
I guess the way to tell would be is to check if it's in like the Master Archive Zeta book. If any of you guys have that Master Archive Zeta book, if that Gundam is in there, then I guess it's canon. There's also like the full armor version of the Mark II. Last time we had this question, I mentioned about that like it's kind of ugly.
Yeah.
For me, I do quite like the full armor Gundam 7th. I think I mentioned that before too. That one's pretty cool. What else? I don't know. They like the Mark III is one that the full armor Mark III I definitely prefer much more than just the standard Mark III. The standard Mark III design I don't really actually like that much, but the full armor version is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good example.
Would the Hummingbird be considered a? No, that
I don't think so. No, it's just like a variant. It'd be like the BST version of the S Gundam, kind of. Just like a modified variant. Drew had a question here. What's your guys' second favorite hobby after Gunpla?
That's a good question. I don't know if anyone watched the
Olympics,
the Gundam talk show, where with me, Josh, and I can't remember the other guy's name. And a really solid model. For some reason, I can't think of his name, and forgive me if you're watch this. But me and Josh were talking about drone racing and
yes.
Yeah, so I do like that hobby a lot. I do a lot. I don't know if it's a hobby or an obsession, but I do a lot of Minecraft. So I do that. When I have free time too, get on there. With my kid, my wife, they'll get on there too, and we'll
on like computer or tablet or something.
So I'm usually on my computer, and then they're on the Xbox. But we have like a realm that we get on, and then there's people here at work that get on that realm too. So it's pretty neat. And I think there's always at least one person on that realm. I don't think there's ever someone's always bored and on there. So
yeah. Well, for me, these days, I mean, it's just Gunpla and family is pretty much the only two things that I do. So family, I guess, but I do play Genshin Impact. So I do have a game that I play as well. That's kind of my only other kind of thing that I'm doing much these days. In the past, I would have said cycling. Cycling is the one thing that's been a hobby of mine that I quite enjoy. It's just these days don't really have time for it.
Yeah. You go through all the I used to do airsoft a lot. Like I was really into airsoft. Like I look like, you go out there and you look like a military person. But I haven't done airsoft in forever. Paintball, I haven't done that in forever. No.
Well, maybe someday. Also, I mean, like I'm sure a lot of people's like other hobbies have been difficult to do this past year because of the pandemic and all that. So I mean, depending on what it is. Like Chris Jones's comment there in the chat, Zach rides at 10 speed everywhere guy. I don't know if I mentioned about that in a past live stream. I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago or something, that it's just like one of my favorite jokes ever from Family Guy, where there was a part where they're doing like a news broadcast and the reporter is like, I'm here with rides at 10 speed everywhere guy. I don't know if he's referring to that or just whatever, but yeah. No, I'm more hip than that. I ride a single gear bike, but not fixed. I just ride it free wheel. I'm not that weird. All right. What? Let's see. Let me find a good one here. Don't you guys love the Nuts mobile armor kits?
I know a lot of you guys do. That's for sure. No, they're cool. I think my favorite one is the almond.
Yeah. Which one is that's like the car one, right?
Yeah, it's like a tank one if I remember correctly. I mean, it's a car basically. Yeah, and he's got like a little scouter on him. It looks like it reminded me of Dragon Ball Z scouter. If it's the one I'm thinking of. No, I have to go look. I'm pretty sure that's the almond. I don't think armored nut. No, it's the No, it's the walnut. I was thinking
walnut. Julio's there in the chat. He said walnut.
Yeah. It just reminds me of like a little, and it's got the quad legs. But yes, the almond is the car. And that kind of has a scouter on it too, but it's not really. It's like a tri-wheel. Yeah, it's funny when we got them in. Like people here that had no clue what they were. They're like, why did you order these nuts? I was like, these are my nuts. We're gonna sell nuts.
They are pretty weird, yeah. And just because they're from like a pretty unknown company as well. I mean, they're just. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who just have no idea what we're talking about at the moment. Even
look up armored nuts on usagundamstore.com and
there you go.
And you'll see.
They're pretty wild. Our Nip asks, "Can I win? Although I live in another country?" Yes. And there you go. You're entered. Crystal Rack said best worst RG besides the new being the best and Zaku 2 being the worst. So I wouldn't say necessarily the new is the best or the Zaku 2 is the worst.
Yeah. I would say the Zeta for me. I didn't even finish it. It just pissed me off. So that's for me. I don't know. One day I'll finish it. But I don't build a lot of 144 scale kits. And there's a lot of not intricate. I mean, it was just a lot of moving parts in the Zeta. The best one that I built, probably the Sotheby. But again, I built like 6, so I mostly build master grade kits when my off time. The ones that I built are here in the storefront for display, or other people have built here. So
yeah. Well, having just recently built 2 of the RGs that are considered to be the worst, the Zeta and the Shinanju, neither of them I think are really as bad as people make them out to be. But I mean, if I had to pick a worst, the RX-78 also gets a lot of flack, and I haven't built one for a long time, but I have built that kit twice and didn't really think it was that bad either time. And that was like 10 years, not 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, something. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But honestly, the Shinanju, I mean, as I'm saying, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. It is probably the worst among them. But that just goes to show that how overall good the RG line is.
Yeah.
Overall, they're all better, like on the better side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
As far as the best one, I think I mean, it could be the new Gundam. I would say the Sazabi, but I think it's kind of a toss-up between the 2 of them. They're both so good, and kind of just comes down to whichever design you prefer. I prefer the Sazabi, but new is very good. Yeah, definitely. What mobile suit do you wish had a PG version?
Snanju Stein.
Of course, naturally. I would say just the regular Shinanju, which I think would make a nice counterpart to the PG Unicorn.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going off of, I mean, that's for me, but if we're going off of probably what people would enjoy, if we had like no limits, I think a Sazabi, Shinanju, new. I think those 3 would be probably the Sazabi and the new would probably be the most popular.
Or the Master Grade God Gundam, maybe. It's not Master Grade. Well, yeah, Master Grade 2.0 God Gundam. Actually, yeah, that or like a God Gundam Verka. I mean, I don't know. That's much more unlikely because Verkas are normally, normally they're UC, but there's a couple, basically just like the Wing Gundam, that's non-UC, but it is possible that, and I think that would be really cool just to see a Kotobukiya interpretation. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, yeah, PG. Because if you imagine it'd be like something similar to like the Astray Red frame, where you just have like some really nice articulation, but I would just hope that it would be not quite as heavy. The one thing that I don't really like about the Strike and the Astray is that they're just so heavy, those kits. Yeah, they have that nice articulation, but they're just kind of very cumbersome. Not like the Exia. The Exia was a much lighter one. Do you prefer clear color or mechanical clear kits?
I like the mechanical clear kits.
Yeah, same.
I don't think we've ever had that question.
Yeah, not exactly like that anyway. Because I like just clear is in general just not as appealing to me. I would just rather have like a regular non-clear. But if it's going to be clear, then at least it serves a purpose. The mechanical clear ones, so that you can like show off the inner frame. So like on kits that have a really nice inner frame, then that mechanical clear is very cool.
Yeah, and then it makes you, because I normally don't really do any detail painting to the inner frame. With those, I do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because you're going to see it. So.
Yep. Exactly. Chris said, isn't Kotobukiya the original designer of the God Gundam? He could be, actually. That's possible. I don't know offhand. All right. What do you guys think about the upcoming Gundam game, that like Overwatch style Gundam game that's coming out?
I mean, I hope they do a good job with it. Is it cool? Yeah. Am I gonna probably play it? Maybe. I don't have a lot
maybe.
Yeah. But I mean, that might be the bad thing about it. If people aren't getting on it and playing it, and it's not popular, then they're probably not going to make anything else. But if people get on it and start playing it and like it a lot, so maybe I'll be forced to do it just to.
Man, I think like it does look cool. and I think it. I mean, it does look fun, but I think just the fact that it's basically like Overwatch or whatever these other games, and just like reskinned with Gundams, I think that's gonna like make the game less popular.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people are gonna want to play it for like the novelty of Gundam, but it's not gonna last long. People are just going to want to play it like when it first comes out, but it's not gonna stay around or like be a game like Overwatch has been super popular for like a couple years now, right? Whatever. Whereas that one, I think I don't see it like staying around for very long. You know,
like the Dynasty Warriors Gundam games.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah.
Which I mean, those are what I mean is where it's like a reskin of just Dynasty Warriors with Gundams in it. But yeah, those are fun, and I think like that's I think what it will be is it'll be like some people will play it. It just won't be like anything that huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like if that's what they're wanting, that's fine. But if they're expecting it or like hoping that it's going to be like a big thing, I just don't think that's going to happen. All right, let's see where we at on time. Okay. Load some more of these comments here on Instagram. What do you think? Oh, okay, that's the question I just read. Instagram is being weird. I'm trying to like load the comments and it's like loading them backwards. Upside down.
Is it like newest first, or do you have it on like
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like loading them and it's like loading like them up instead of down.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Will you start carrying splash paints?
There's no time. I mean, will we in the future? Maybe. We don't get a lot of demand for splash paints. I mean, we've got a lot of paint brands, SMS, Mr. Hobby, E7, Alclad. I mean, we have AK paints. I mean, there's Tamiya. I can go on and on. And so adding another paint line, I mean, it takes up room here in the warehouse. Are people going to really choose that over the other brands? Are people going to come to us just because we have that brand? So there's a lot of things to weigh into that. So probably no time soon, honestly. But will we? Maybe. Yeah, Moto. I mean, we got Moto paints. Julio there in the.
Yep. Here's one. Would you repaint this kit? So he's talking about like the giveaway kit for today. They have weapon system. Would you repaint the kit? And if so, what color scheme would you go with? Any ideas off the top of your head?
Yeah, I don't know if I would. If I repainted it, it'd probably be basically the same color scheme, but I would add probably a little bit more detail painting here and there. I don't think I would repaint the entire thing. I probably would just do some detail stuff and then throw it up. But if I did, I don't know. I might do like a blue version of it. I think might be cool. But.
I would maybe go with like the white cream orange kind of color scheme for it. I've seen like the new Gundam looking very cool with like some oranges on it.
Yep.
That'd be nice. Here's a question that I hope is a joke, but I'm not sure because it seems kind of serious.
Go.
Goo Monster said, when are we getting the Verkot Atlas that ZakuAurelius got me all hyped for like a year ago?
Oh my gosh.
I hope that's a joke.
Who knows? There's no word on that. If there
that wasn't April. I mean,
if it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah. To answer your question, if you didn't know that that's an April Fool's joke, I'm sorry to say that was an April Fool's joke. So I mean, it could happen, but it's not gonna. It's not
man.
Happening. Yeah.
I forgot you did that.
And I'm still getting comments about it. I had like a couple weeks ago, there was someone commenting on that video saying like, I'm seeing this video now like months later and it's not funny because it's not April Fool's Day anymore. I'm like, what are you so sorry?
Like the date it was published.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think we will see more P-Bandai releases in the US?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's going to slow down. Sadly.
Yeah. Ray asked, how hard do you think RG Hi-Nu will get cut for the first batch?
I mean, we already have our number off of what we ordered. So what's nice that Bandai is doing now, because they obviously recognize the problem of telling us when they ship it out that they're cutting it then. they tell us it's usually about a month to a month and a half after we put in our orders. So they get all the information from all the stores, they compile it, find out how much they can make, and then it takes them about a month to a month and a half to kind of figure all that out. And then they let us know, hey, we know you ordered this amount, but this is the amount that you'll get. So then we can make sure that we don't oversell that amount. Because a problem that we were having was we would order, let's just say 200 of a kit, and the day they shipped them out, they would ship us 100, and then they would say, oh, your other 100 will come in the next batch. Okay, well, when's that next batch getting printed? And next month. And then you wait next month and it doesn't show up. And you're like, okay, well, when's this getting printed? Well, we had to put it off again, so it'll be the next month. Next month comes, still not there. I mean, you guys keep telling me it's not that month. Well, we'll Bandai told us, over in Japan that for sure it will be this month. It would come and nothing would get filled. So then you're like, well, why am I ordering 200? If you guys are only filling 100, you should know when you ship the container that I'm only getting that quantity. You should tell me then, or even when you have the production schedule. So Bandai's really good about listening to feedback and get, trying to make sure things are right, make sure that they're not hurting us as a business or hurting other businesses or hurting themselves. So they've, now we know way before we even get them in. So we have our total number for the Hi-Nu. I mean, we are getting a decent amount. We still have plenty for pre-order. So if you want one, I would be willing to bet these will be sold out from us pre-order before we get them in. Just like the Nightingale, those are pre-order sold out. When we get them in, we will not have any in stock. They will ship out to everyone that pre-ordered them. And I think that's kind of how a lot of these newer kits, popular kits will be, is they'll sell out pre-order just because, I mean, we don't have the demand. I mean, you look at, Hobby Link Japan puts stop orders on stuff, I think literally like 2 or 3 days after they put them up.
For some of them, it's like same day for like
and I've noticed now they've started putting that you order it as soon as you can, because if you don't, you might not get it in the first batch. I've noticed seeing that on their stuff. Even if you do pre-order it, you won't get it right away unless you're in like the first 500 pre-orders or whatever it is. It's crazy. Which we actually just got a number for how many more of the Nightingales we'll have in December. So we'll have that back up for pre-order, but it will be for December, not for what we're getting in next week. So next week or the week after, depending on when the shipment gets here.
El Saberman asked, have the Kotobukiya Zoids kits been well received? Hoping they do, so we can get some more releases.
Yeah, I think they've done very well. You're able, obviously, to get them at a way better price now, which I think has just made it that much easier for people that, one, didn't have the liquid income to spend $100+ on a kit that should be $50. So, but yeah,
right. Yeah, like those, even at list price, they're expensive kits. Yeah. No doubt about that. So, yeah, unless you're like a hardcore Zoids fan, which there just aren't as many of, it's just not as big or like as popular a franchise as Gundam is. So, yeah, understandably, it's going to be a harder sell for people to spend, $100 on a Zoids HMM kit when they're thinking like, I could get like 2 Bandai MGs for like the same price.
Yeah.
Understandable. But those kits are super nice. And so, if you're able to get them now for, $70-$80 instead of 100, that's all the better.
Yep.
As we've talked about those kits before, I would say they're like comparing them to Gundam kits, they're kind of between MG or PG, honestly, because number one, they're quite large. And just the complexity and the detail of them, they're super, super detailed. They're very nice. So definitely check. If you guys are like a fan of Zoids and you've been like kind of on the fence, I would definitely recommend you guys to check out one of those. But just make sure it's one of the Kotobukiya HMM kits. Yeah. Not the Takara Tomy kits.
Yeah. Takara Tomy ones are trash.
Yeah. That's for like nostalgia or something. Anyway, here's one from Warren who asked, what is your favorite non-standard Gundam like Nintendo ones or Dragon Ball Z? I think what he means is like favorite Bandai kits, not Gundam.
Not Gundam. I mean, I like the 30-minute mission kits a lot. I like the fact that you can just pretty much everything fits. You can make your own kit pretty much very easily. You can kit bash stuff without having to. I don't even know if it's really considered kit bashing. More customizing very easily. I'm very excited for the 30-minute sisters kits. We don't have them here yet, but from what I've seen, I mean, they can use pretty much all the 30-minute mission parts. So, I mean, there's going to be tons of easy customizations for those kits. So pretty excited about that. And supposedly they'll work with, what is it? They have like a 3mm pegs and stuff like that they use, kind of same thing. So they should work with like the Kotobukiya kits, at least most of the stuff. So, yeah, I'm excited for those. I mean, I like the ramen noodle kit. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
The cup noodle one. If it's a line, though, what are the lines they make? The Dragon Ball Z, the figurized line's pretty cool, depending on what you like in that line.
Yeah, I really enjoy the Ultraman kits. Those are really nice.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Ultraman, but they are nice kits. Like they.
Yeah, same. I should say the series itself is like I don't know anything about the series at all, but the kits are cool. I like
the 86. I built one of the kits, and I thought that was pretty cool. One of the spider mech things that was pretty neat. I mean, Bandai does a good job, kind of all around with their lines.
Even stuff like the what was it called? The figurized. I have it here. The Arale kit. This one.
Okay. Yep.
This one. Those are cool. What are they called? Figurized mechanics. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a few of those, it's like a Doraemon one and a couple of other ones. Like that stuff's really cool. Yeah, the figurized standard, the figurized amplified, those Digimon kits are pretty cool. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. Even something simple like the entry grade Dragon Ball Z kits are really nice.
Yeah.
For something just really cheap. Pokepla kits, the Pokepla Quick kits are also really cool. Like $6-7, whatever those cost.
Toy Story kits, Julio.
Yeah. I've been tempted many times to pick up one of those to build for review, and then like I'm sure my son would love to have that, just like do the review and then just like give it to my son, but still have not taken the plunge yet. I don't know. Love the movies, but I don't know. Just as kits, it just doesn't look that fun to build for me, but I'm sure they're cool. All right, switching over to YouTube now. Let me see. Okay, here's one from Jed. With the fact that the line has greatly improved in recent years, what RG kit would you most want to see get a 2.0?
Probably RX-78, honestly. I think that would be it probably would be their first one 2.0 that they would do, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that no doubt that would be, if they're going to make any 2.0 RGs, that's what it's going to be. I think you could probably bet a lot of money on that. If not that, maybe a Shinanju, making it with like a proper frame, making it with its own frame. Or I would assume what they would end up doing is just making it similar to the Sazabi, where it doesn't really have that much of the pre-molded frame. And it's just more like a mini master grade. Which I get people's like complaints about that. If it's just like a miniature version of the master grade, that people feel like, oh, well, why don't I just build the master grade? Because people like enjoy that part of the building experience, having that pre-built inner frame as like a novelty of the RG line. But I mean, personally, I just want a cool kit, so I don't really care either way. But that would be nice to get like a better version of the RG. Also, I just felt like one thing I don't really see people complain that much about with like the RG Shinanju, which honestly is something that I think I would complain about more if it was something that really mattered that much to me, which it doesn't necessarily, but it's not that detailed. It's not a very detailed kit. Like the RG line, usually like they're like really highly detailed. Even the Unicorn is more detailed than other versions, the HG, the MG, the PG. It has like quite a bit of like added detail to it. The RG Shinanju doesn't really have that much added detail on it. It kind of like doesn't, I mean, just aside from like the proportions and just like, I don't know, the finish, it doesn't look that different in terms of like the amount of detail on there, different than the HG actually. So Well, I'm not one that really cares that much about how much detail is on the kit. I think if they did like a 2.0 version of the RG Shinanju, there's a lot of things they could improve on. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Astral asked, what are some secrets you recommend for doing dioramas while keeping it in scale? 100 is very small after all. Indeed.
I have not done dioramas, so I don't really have much skill sets there. I would recommend watching YouTube videos. There's tons of armored modelers do a lot of dioramas, and they have all sorts of little tips and tricks. And there's different paint lines that gear towards that. A lot of AK, MIG have a lot of products that are geared towards diorama stuff. So.
Yeah, and I mean for 100 scale, I think what's the in like train dioramas, it's like HO scale or something like that. That's like one. It's very close to 100 scale.
Right.
I forget what it is because I just don't. Yeah, I'm also very amateur when it comes to diorama. I have very little experience with that, but I would say there's probably a lot of stuff available in a very similar scale. If you look at like train models and stuff, that'd probably be a good resource where to look. I mean, N scale, Julio said. There you go.
Yep.
So maybe HO scale is maybe the one that's closer to 1/44th, possibly. But anyway, as far as like what I was saying about watching YouTube videos and stuff, I mean, that would be look for diorama, like train dioramas, or just like other dioramas, anything. So there's plenty of resources out there for you, and a wide range. There's so many different products available. Once you get into that, it's a crazy amount. It's just so many different companies because it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What non-Gundam series would you like to see an MG of? Oh, so like a Big O or something like that.
Bandai made a Big O kit. I don't think it was a master grade. I think
right.
Yeah.
A like Arbalest or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Full Metal Panic.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Nathan asked, what non-Gunpla focused tool would you recommend all builders to have in their toolbox?
Non-Gundam
focused tool.
Non-Gunpla focused.
I guess like a
hobby
maybe,
like a hobby tool, or not just a.
Yeah, like a more obscure tool. Like aside from like hobby knife nippers, aside from like the standard stuff, what you would see in like a tool set.
Okay.
Any other tools that you would recommend?
I would recommend. Well, I mean, I guess it's a super glue, but a gel super glue versus regular super glue. That's still kind of like a well-known thing because it's super glue. Toothpicks.
Hobby saw. I mean. Drill set is something that wouldn't normally be included in like a like basic tool set.
Yeah, I would go with toothpicks. Yes.
Yeah. I always have a couple of toothpicks here laying around because you never know when you need that for something, for applying super glue, for example. If you don't have like one of those fancy nozzles for your super glue, like the little like needle nozzles. What airbrush would you recommend for someone who wants to start getting into customizing?
It's just because we have this question fairly decent, and your answer, Zach, has kind of changed my answer on it. Because I usually tell people just go with a cheap one you can find on Amazon, because Gundam parts you don't really need to do any detail work. But your answers over time have changed me. Because you make a good point with stuff breaking down. You obviously get what you pay for, and getting kind of not a super high end one, but one that's a decent airbrush is going to last you way longer and give you a better range of things if you want to do stuff in the future versus just one of them cheap ones. So yeah, your answer has shaped me over time. So yeah, get something that's not super cheap, but something that is not like you don't need a $300-400 airbrush.
No.
But I mean, I would probably recommend it like a $80 to $100 airbrush.
Yeah.
Give or take. And that's going to last you a lot longer, especially if you take care of it, and it is going to give you a range of things to do. You'll just be happier with that, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that like a cheap airbrush is like guaranteed to crap out on you after a month or something. I mean, like you can get a cheap airbrush and like make it last, no doubt. It just kind of depends. I think just you're probably better off just getting something that's good from the start. I mean, if it's something, and like I said, it just kind of depends. If you're just wanting to try it out and you're not sure if it's something you're really going to do that much, then yeah, maybe just get something cheaper. But if it's like something you're genuinely interested in, you've like been building Gunpla for a while and you're really wanting to take that next step, and like you have, you're buying kits like fairly regularly, not just like one kit a year or something, then yeah, I would spend, I think like around 80 or something should be enough to get you a good solid airbrush. Iwata Eclipse, I think, is a very good, very standard bet. But I mean, there's other ones.
Yeah.
Badger, I know, is one that people will sometimes recommend. I've not really used one. I had one that like I used like once, and I just stuck with using the Iwata that I have. I do also have a Sparmax, which is under the same brand. Sparmax owns Iwata. Sparmax also good, very similar basically.
Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts on the upcoming RG Hi-Nu? It looks great, but prefer the purple colors of the Verka and not a fan of the bronze and silver parts. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I would second that or third that.
They basically went with like the Verka design with the original MG color scheme. It's kind of mixed that. Yeah, I don't like that. I definitely prefer it in purple as well. I wonder if that was changed later because they were kind of nervous about it, about if it's purple, if it's like, it would be as popular.
I don't know. Yeah,
or like boys. I don't know. Yeah,
I have no clue. Because I mean, obviously the Verka is way more popular than the original one that they made. So the design. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the kit looks fantastic either way, and it's definitely going to look nice once it's painted. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of the blue either.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, here's a good one. Interesting from Jordan here. He said, "Congrats on 10K. Which is your favorite beam/heat melee weapon in Gundam?"
I like the Sinanju's, I don't know what you call it. So that was when he combines the two axes together and creates, I don't know, like a staff, but it's not a staff. It's got
Naginata.
Yeah. I like that personally.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Similar to like what the Ultron uses.
Yep.
But just without, not the trident, but it's just the beam axes. Yeah, the combined beam axes, the beam Naginata. Yeah, that's really cool. That one's nice. Also, just like the beam axe in general. By the Shinanju, that's nice. Like this one, that a few of like the Neo Zeon mobile suits have this style one. I don't quite like as much. I like just like the one axe, like the one-sided axe that like the Shinanju uses. What else? The heat daggers, or what are they called? They're not called daggers. That the Ifrit Schneid uses. Yeah, like the heat darts or something. Yeah, those are really cool. Yeah. Because he's got like them all over the place. He can just like like just stick them in, and it's not like the kind of, they're just like throwaway weapons, kind of disposable weapons. There's a bunch, yeah. But like all the best ones seem to be like on the Zeon side, on like the Zeon Neo Zeon side. EFSF, I mean, they just have like boring beam sabers. That's it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
You got like the beam javelin, which is okay. Like the Unicorn's hyper beam javelin is pretty cool because it's basically it's a beam axe as well. I don't know. Anyway, there are some cool ones. Yeah, the Crossbone has some cool ones. Get like way later in UC. Let's see. David has a question. This one is geared to me. He said, "When you get to Florida, what are the builds you're most excited to display in store? Well, any of like my painted builds and stuff, I'm not going to be taking to Florida. I've got to sell those before, because I mean, I have a lot of stuff to take. So I mean, anything that's painted, I'm planning on selling at the moment. But once I'm there, in like the stuff that I build and paint, we'll be going into the display at the store. So if you're anywhere near there, you're planning to travel there, it's something you can look forward to seeing some of my builds there. There's one of my builds there.
Yeah, we have a few of your builds actually. We have one actual like little display kind of area that has like 4 or 5, maybe more.
Just 6. The one is mine. Just the messer is mine. The other ones are.
The ones are.
They belong to me, but they are not made by me.
All right.
Yeah. The other ones are just kind of my collection of ones that I've gotten as gifts from other people. One of them's from Moki.
Nice.
One is from my Japanese friend, the like dot camo Juagu.
Okay.
Yeah, that's from my Japanese friend, and the other ones are from Tim. Another, not Tim, Child of Mecha Tim, different Tim. But yeah, my messer is there. If you guys want to see my custom messer, that's there now at the moment. Kshatriya Ghost asks, what's your favorite? Well, it's another kind of weapon, but he said, what's your favorite weapon in the Gundam universe? Personally, I'm a fan of the beam bazooka. It's fun to customize, also badass in the anime. Yeah, the Rick Dom beam bazooka, I think he means.
Yeah.
But,
so
yeah, favorite weapon.
That's another. So I have 2 in there. So I like the rifle of the Sinanju, but I only like it when it has the smaller
grenade launcher.
Yeah, a grenade launcher underneath. I don't like the big ass bazooka on it. And then the narrative Stein uses, it pretty much looks like that gun. You know, it has like the, I don't know, the scope and stuff on it, and it has a longer barrel than like the Verkov version does, and I like that rifle too. I think those 2 rifles are my favorite rifle designs, or probably like weapon designs in the Gundam world.
Yeah. A lot of like the just like standard size beam rifles, I often find them kind of boring, like the RX-72's beam rifle, or like the Zeta's beam rifle, especially like the Hyakushiki beam rifle. Just not really that exciting for me. It's more like the Faz's giant cannon is pretty cool. That's awesome. Or like the massive beam launcher cannon thing that's coming out for the RG Hi-Nu. I love that one. I'm surprised they're making that as a P-Bandai add-on, but very happy that that's coming out. Hopefully I'll be able to get one.
Yeah.
That looks really cool. So like any like massive guns like that, or like the beam smart gun of the XS is pretty cool. I like that one. That kind of stuff. Yeah. And like the Zeta Plus A1 C. Anyway, that smart gun that one has is also very cool. The Wing Verka, that Buster rifle, like the original Wing Verka, that one is great. I wish the kit could actually hold it. It's a cool design though. It has like kind of the shield attachment, like kind of like on the top of the beam rifle, on top of the handle. It's interesting. All right, let's see. We'll do maybe 1 or 2 more, then we'll get to our giveaway here for today. So, let's see. Here's best kit you would recommend for someone who wants to start experimenting with customizing, both for a novice and experienced builder. Well,
so if you're, I would recommend probably the RX-78 entry grade kit. It just depends on, I guess, what you're wanting to do. But that kit, I mean, it's a Gundam kit, so you can practice panel lining, just making your own panel lines. You can practice with metal detail parts, paint schemes, and it's a very cheap kit that's very easy to build. Sure. So I think you could, I mean, depending on what you want, if you want to practice 20 different things, you get 20 of those kits and probably do whatever you wanted to those. Yeah. I think that's one of the benefit of that entry grade kit. It's cheap and
Julio mentioned a good one too, the NEGM, especially like the if you're wanting to do a master grade, the master grade Jim Sniper 2, which you mentioned is like just recently been restocked. That's a good one because it's a pretty simple design overall, pretty cheap master grade, not very expensive. But I think the good point of some of the older master grades, like honestly, the master grade like Gundam 04 or Gundam 05, those ones are really nice because they're old, but they still stand up pretty well for their age. But they will give you a lot of good experience because there's like a lot of seam line removal needed for those type of kits. I mean, like you can practice some of like those kind of basic building steps, seam line removal, just like joint modification or something like that to improve the articulation or something. And then there's like a lot of wide open space because they're older MGs, so they don't have a ton of detail on them. So like there's a lot of space on them for practicing panel line scribing or customizing. They have like big massive weapons and lots of room for customizing those. So those would be two, and those would also be very cheap. Those MGs are like $30 and they're really nice actually. So there you go. All right, let's do some giveaway actions. So let me pull up our random number generator here. Put this on the screen. All right. Boom, there we go. And so first we'll draw the platform here. 3, 1 will be Facebook, 2 will be Instagram, 3 will be YouTube. 3, all right, YouTube, where we had 268.
Yeah, good stuff.
68. Please come up 3 again. All right, 106. So I'll have to count these for a while.
Yeah, so while he is doing that, I will be answering questions in the chat. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat now, and I will try to answer them. So Alex asked, do you remember the first Gunpla kit you built? Yes. It was the no grade 1100 red frame. It was the first ever kit that I built. Got that from Hobby Town, I believe. So yeah. What's the best out of the bottle paint for airbrushing? I love SMS paints. They come pre-thinned. It's a lacquer based paint, so it goes on hard and strong. Huge range of colors. So that's what I prefer is the SMS paint line. But there's other good paint lines. Gaia is really good. E7 is really good. Moto paint's great. So there's I obviously prefer lacquer paints. So there's a lot of really good solid paints out there. Any news on Eclipse Gundam? No. So they will probably be here. I would be willing to bet that we will have to wait another month plus, just because of all the logistical delays with shipping containers and shipping companies. And I would be willing to bet we won't have them here in the United States for a little bit, sadly. Whew. You got it?
Yes.
All right.
Here you go. Right, this one right below Optimus Maximus here. Oh, which you guys can already see the name. Okay, there it is. Wispy, who was here in the chat earlier.
He was, yeah.
Still here, but there you go. Wispy, man, look at that. Hopefully he's still here in the chat so you can see this live. I know he was here earlier. We answered his question like right at the start of the show there. Anyway, his question here, let's just answer this real quick. He said, what features and plans do you have for the USA Gundam Store site in the near future?
Yeah, so it's more kind of like maintenance work. I don't know if you've been on lately, but now when you go, we have a help page. So when you go to contact customer support, like it comes up with kind of frequently asked questions where you can kind of click and kind of get the answers. So you shouldn't have to email them, but obviously if you need something beyond that, you can, or call us. So little things like that just to make the user experience better. Working on cleaning up all of our tags on products so you'll be able to search through products easier. Uniforming the names of the products, different things like that. So you're not going to see like 100 master grade Barbados and then Barbados 100 master grade, all kind of be one unified kind of wording throughout. We are carrying new lines of stuff. We just got our first shipment of Lego in yesterday, so a lot of Legos are up on the site. So you will start carrying more and more stuff, kind of geared towards building and hobby related things. I guess Lego is considered a toy, but I mean, there's tons of people that collect Legos out there. So things like that. I mean, nothing drastic.
Or one-stop shopping. If you're a parent shopping on the site for Gunpla or whatever, maybe you want to also pick up some Lego for your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So things like that, things just to make the user experience better. We're not planning any major overhauls or anything like that anytime soon, just because we're busy doing other things, trying to get orders out. So
yeah. And as Wispy mentioned there in the chat, her, female, not his.
Sorry, Wispy.
I just assume, in this hobby, you just have to assume.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
But
send us.
Cool.
So send us an email to support@usagundamstore.com. YouTube was a winner, so we just need a picture of you logged into your YouTube account, and then the address you want us to ship this to. We need all that in an email, and then we will get this out to you ASAP. And congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Very cool kit. And share some pictures when it's done.
Yeah.
It's not a kit that I really see that often. One that I have. It'd be nice to see it done, because I don't know when I'm ever going to build mine. But
yeah, you don't see this one built very often. Like you see the main, the new built, but not the heavy weapon system. So
yeah, understandable. It's a big kit. There's a lot of stuff to it. It's like the full armor unicorn, right? There's just a lot to build.
There is.
But yeah, that's very cool. And a Pokemon fan as well. That's fun.
Awesome.
I've been watching, I've told you before, that I've been watching Leon Hart's videos a lot recently. Yeah, Pokemon card opening videos. So I'm enjoying that. I can live vicariously and enjoy that hobby as well without actually spending money buying packs. So
it's support@usagundamstore.com, or you can just go on the website and hit the contact page and send an email through that, and that will go to that same email address. And then
Yep. Very cool. All right. Yes, Juan said more Gunpla women. Yes, exactly. We need some more. If you have, female friends or looking for a new hobby, introduce them to Gunpla. We need some more females in the hobby, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, that is going to be it for us today. Obviously, a lot of questions we couldn't get to. So if your question wasn't answered this time, come back in 2 weeks. We'll have the next episode. Hopefully, we'll be able to announce a new contest for you guys at that time. But, we'll see. We're waiting on that. So that'll be coming out in the near future. But anyway, Adam, anything else for today?
No, just thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for the 10,000 subscribers. I think we're at 10,100 now. So thank you guys so much. It's awesome being able to answer all these questions, and without you guys, I mean, we wouldn't be here. So, thank you for all the support, all the orders, and thank you everyone for all your patience. It's kind of it. Just thank you. Everybody.
Yeah. Same for me. And like I said, if you guys missed at the start, I got the Nightingale here all built up, so I'll have that review for you guys coming out very soon, and the Eclipse Gundam live build probably the first half of next week. Other than that, what else do I work on? I don't know. Everything, all that good stuff. Part 2 of the RG Shinanju as well, customizing this a little bit and painting that. I got the what is it? This. Speaking of the Shinanju's bazooka beam rifle, it's the system weapon set for that. It has like an alternate version of the bazooka. It's a little bit different design that I want to give to that. So I'll be working on that next week. All right, guys. Till then, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.